is recording it?
I just pushed the record button, yes.
Okay, it's recording.
So I'm Raquel Ivy. We're supposed to each say our name at the beginning.
I'm Amanda.
Sorry, Amanda, go ahead.
I'm Amanda Mitchell.
I'm Stephanie Ramsey.
And I'm AJ LaGrace.
Okay. So I had 3 questions that kind of really stood out to me. So do you guys want to, each of us, like pick a question and then go in a circle? One question at a time?
That works.
Okay.
AJ, you're in the summary, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Okay, so does anyone want to volunteer to go first? Or do you want me to?
It doesn't matter to me. Would you like me to go first? I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. One question that I liked, it says, what characteristics and attributes did Elder Holland expound on that will make us more effective family advocates? So, one thing I liked in his talk, he talked about judging righteously. We have to be judges, but not self-righteous judges. I think it's important to remember that God is the final judge over all. I remember once I was having a hard time forgiving someone, and the song popped into my mind that says, "Who am I to judge another when I walk imperfectly?" And I just decided to turn it over to the Lord and let him make the final call on it. And I was just going to try to be loving towards that person. It's still hard, but I'm working on it. And be forgiving. What are some other things that you guys think?
You mentioned that we should. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
You mentioned that we should show compassion to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the example you gave was when the police officer found those children in such a sad situation, and he tried to help as best as he could that time, and then he offered to come back to do some follow-up to make sure the children were okay.
I liked in that how what's the quote he said? He said, "Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment." And then he told the story of that woman with the tattoos. And I think it's hard that we do sometimes judge people on appearance, but we have to, think that they may have just straightened, at least they're trying to come back. They're trying to make a change, and we can be people that can help them in that. And I think just having that compassion and love towards them is so important. Just even when you first meet them, to have that attitude of, I'm going to love this person no matter what, because we don't know what their situation is. We don't know what they need. But if we're in tune with the Spirit, we'll be guided to help them in what they need and to be able to help them through, whatever they're going through.
Yeah, it can be hard to judge people. I mean, yeah, it's easy to judge people when you first see them. Oh, I bet I know what kind of life they're living, and it can be hard. Any other thoughts on that?
I think how we react to people who are not like us, for example, the young woman with the tattoos and a lot of piercings, perhaps this was her first time coming back to the church or being in a church. So how we respond to her will determine her next steps. Is she going to stay and keep coming and trying to change, trying to become better, or if we give her the cold shoulder and make unpleasant comments, then they can just push her back out from, back into the cold where she's coming from. And that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
help the feeble needs that hang down and present Manson's word. Just be kind. It doesn't take much to be kind.
Yeah. Let's see. What threats to children and families did Elder Holland mention? So he didn't sit there and say, okay, here's a threat, here's a threat, here's a threat, but some that I picked out were being judgmental, moral safety, being afraid of judging others. Sometimes we accept not only them, but we accept their sin too. We have to be careful not to do that. Sometimes it's a threat not to do anything, not to stand up for what we believe in. Any other thoughts on that?
On that one, the story that he told about the young man, the basketball player that came back to his hometown, I don't know, that was just a heartbreaking story. And then at the end, when it said, someone asked the question, aren't most of those people from your church?
Yeah.
And so I would add, kindness and teaching your children kindness. Obviously, that was forgotten, that night. And it's strange that almost a whole town could act like that.
Yeah. And if you think about it, so many people, or at least that coach, is going to judge the whole church on the way they acted, and they're going to make the whole church look like they're like that. So
Right, I didn't think of it that way. But yeah, that's makes all of us look bad all over the world.
Like in the one message that we watched too, just a conversation the girl had with her classmate, how she thought that because the church didn't believe in gay marriage that everyone in the church was judgmental about it, and they had these strong opinions about it. And it's like interesting to see how one thing that we believe in can be can be lost in communication, and then have the wrong impression on what they think the whole church is, and not just that particular belief.
let's see. Let's see, where am I? How can we show compassion with those who might be angry with us or the church, yet still remain faithful followers of God's laws and put Him first in our lives? That can be so hard to do. I know it's easy to retaliate, and my grandpa had left the church when he was a teenager, and he would always have these conversations with me because he knew where I stood, and I always thought it was to make me mad, but he really just liked to get in deep conversation. But I would always walk away upset, and he was just having fun, and he loved me, and he wasn't trying to make me mad or anything. But I always walked away, thinking, Grandpa, you're wrong, I'm right. I just always walked away upset, even though he was just wanting to have a deep conversation, but I think one important thing to do is to stay calm, not lose your temper. It's helpful to find common ground with other people and just respect them and ask for respect in return. That was a tough question. What other thoughts do you guys have?
That was
I think-
actually,
Oh.
oops, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That was actually one of the questions that I had marked, because that's a really hard question. And I guess I have a follow-up question to that, because I have a member of our family that she's completely anti-Mormon, or any other religion for that matter that isn't what hers is. And she doesn't want to find common ground, or she just wants to come and prove that she's right. She doesn't want to come sit at the round table. So how do you deal with a person like that? How do you have peace with someone who doesn't want peace or collaboration?
Perhaps the easiest thing is just not to get in those conversations with them. Find something that's common other than religion. I don't know. I would just avoid.
I avoid the person.
Maybe not avoid the person so much, just those conversations. Maybe if you can find a way to love them, to step in and say, hey, do you want to go to lunch with me? Or can I watch your kids sometime? Or I don't know how old or whatever she is, but maybe to show her, I guess the best thing you can do is to live your religion and show her love in a different way. I don't know. That's tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
When I was in high school, like I feel like I was like the only member, and people would try and get in conversations to like argue with me and to get me upset. And I got to the point, and I wouldn't even get involved in those conversations unless they truly wanted to have a good conversation and like came like humbly to it. I wouldn't have them, and I think I only had a couple of like really good conversations because I didn't allow myself to get in that situation, because I know if I even initiated it or like, you know, responded, the spirit would be gone, because it wasn't an environment where the spirit could be. And so I just, you know, made it a thing. I'm like, I'm not going to do it, because I feel like the conversation never would end well, because I couldn't have the spirit with me. And then one time, one of my friends, he came to me, and he was gay, but like hadn't told many people, but like people who knew him knew. And it was interesting that he was the one that came to me, and he had genuine questions, and we had a really good conversation. I was able to teach him the plan of salvation, and that's like one of my like favorite experiences to teaching someone, because he truly wanted to understand, and so the spirit was able to help me with that. And I think that's just the most important thing, is if they really want to know and like have a good conversation, then, you know, engage with them. If they don't, and don't allow yourself to get in that situation, because you won't feel good at the end of it either. And that's, you know, an important thing that you have to be able to get something out of it too.
thank you.
And I think when people want to be confrontational about our religion, you're not going to benefit from going back and forth with them, because, you know, you're just going to get angry, and then, you know, going to lose the whole point of, you know, trying to show why your religion is good or true. I think, you know, at those times, you just say a silent prayer and just bear your testimony, and if possible, you just probably excuse yourself from the situation, because when people want to really make you miserable, they will, you know, keep at it. So just try to bear your testimony and just, you know, leave it at that. And also, if we read the scriptures, the New Testament, to see how Christ dealt with those who, you know, reviled him, who ridiculed him, he was still kind to them. He still showed them love. So, you know, I know it's not easy when people are really making fun of what you believe and, you know, saying negative things about it. but still be kind to them, show them that that is your way to be kind, to be loving. And just hope that, over time they will get to see, who you really are and, can see past your differences and see that, you're a good person. And if they need something, you will be there for them and stuff like that.
I really liked the video. The woman from the UN.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
the
she
one in
said
the classroom?
they cut the baby in half, and that left an unhappy baby and an unhappy girl. So, I mean, getting into a fight is not going to help push your case at all. So,
Well, and I think too, being like in the video with where the girl talked to her bishop and then she went back and initiated a conversation calmly, and the person who kind of attacked her in the beginning was really surprised at her coming back, because I think sometimes they think, okay, well, I got him, they're not going to talk to me about that anymore, they're not going to. And her coming back and saying, hey, let's find some common ground, let's find something we agree on. That's pretty much what you said, Amanda. When you said that, I was thinking of the video. So, does anyone else have questions that they picked out?
Number 13, what threat to the families and our society are you focusing on? And how much do you think this problem is present in the church? And what does the Lord expect from us to combat this threat? I'm doing poverty. And I think in some places where the church are, like probably some third world countries and probably war-torn countries, that is more prevalent than perhaps even in the US. But even in some cases, it is present in the US, because if you have a single parent and have a low-income job and children to take care of, that can be an issue.
I'm sorry, can you
I
repeat
think
your topic?
poverty.
Poverty, okay.
Yes. And I think Lord expects us to share what we have with others. If they're around us and we can help them, we should. And also we can pay a generous fast offering, so the church can have resources to help those who are in need. And also there's a perpetual education fund. I think it still exists. That is usually for missionaries who have gone in missions and they're from like poor countries, so they can pursue their education, because usually people can work themselves out of poverty. If they want, if they have the opportunity to gain more education, they can get better jobs and have a better way of living. So what topics are you guys doing?
I chose music and the way it changes thoughts and changes actions. There's just so much evil music on the radio, and it's just been bothering me forever. But I know there's been times where people have tried to push the stations to play cleaner music and stuff like that. I think this is one that we can't necessarily fight against, but I think if we just choose our own music wisely and teach our teenagers the threats that are coming on the radio, what they're trying to accomplish by playing that music and stuff. We just have to educate our teenagers and our children and be careful in our own choice of music. So that's what I have.
I am doing pornography just because it is so prevalent. I feel like it's getting more and more. It's an issue my husband had struggled with. And it's just interesting how it doesn't only affect the person who has the addiction, but also affects those around them. And then I had a professor on campus, and he specialized in therapy with those with addictions. And I was able to talk to him and like get resources and things. And it's just, I feel like it's still a topic that people don't want to talk about, and so they're not getting the help that they need to. Because my husband said as he's like opened up to other people about it, like his other friends, they've had experiences with it too. Like they've had experiences where they've been exposed to it, or they've had a time when they struggled with it. And I think that although we know it's in the church, we don't know how prevalent it really is because people don't want to open up about it. And I think if we can educate ourselves on it and be a resource for them to even come to be able to open up about it, because even then it can bring a weight off their shoulders, just being able to speak about it, and to be able to say, I'm struggling with this, but there are things I can do. I think that's just the best way we can do, is just be an advocate for them and give them resources, even just a listening ear to help them.
I think what's hard about that too is it's not just like the pornography, but like even for Amanda's subject, pornography can be a part of music as well, because the phrases of the song stick in your head. And I think it was, I don't know, when I say this, somebody will probably know which apostle it was. I think it was either Elder Bednar or maybe President Monson. Said in a talk once that all of our other body systems, if it gets sick or something bad, like your digestive system, you will vomit or have diarrhea. But once you put it in your brain, it's there forever. And you can't regurgitate it to get it out. Or that's not the right word.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was either Packer or Nilsson, I think. I think it was Packer.
Elder Packer. But I don't know, that just stood out to me.
Yeah.
I have a member of our family that became a chaplain in the Army because he got addicted to pornography when he was 17. And he eventually got to go on a mission, and he came back and became an LDS chaplain. And that was his reasoning behind why he chose that as an occupational field.
Yeah, it really does go into like all aspects of your life when you have struggled with those things. Like my husband doesn't have any social media anymore because he would just be on Facebook, and just things that like just ads would come up, or just anything, like just those sponsored ads. You can't control those things. I think that's the way we can like being able to too, is just being aware of those things, and even doing things in our own lives to ensure that we're not looking at those things, because we may not have an issue, but it can always become an issue. Just because it hasn't happened now doesn't mean it won't happen before. I mean, later. Sorry, my dog is like all up in my face. But I think it's just important to be aware ourselves, because we may have children who struggle with it, that we need to be able to, help them. And the best way we can do that is be an example to them in any addiction or any struggle. It's just being an example and be caring and loving towards them, and know they're not alone, because that's what the Savior would do.
Right. I like that point, AJ. If you could remember that in the heat of every conversation, okay, let me just stop, and what would the Savior do right now? How would he handle this situation? I think we would all probably be a lot more effective in what we do, but we get frazzled and, oh, I don't know how to answer that, and I don't know, body things start happening, and your palms start sweating, your heart starts beating, and I don't know. I wish I could think of something that when that started to happen, I would automatically trigger it to stop and ask that question.
Yeah, and I feel like that, like, since I've been pregnant, I feel like I get really agitated. It's just all my hormones. I'm like constantly like, my husband says something and I'll like snap at him. And like the past couple weeks, I like just done more to be aware of it, and I've been like praying, reading my scriptures more, and like just really focusing on how I can be more Christ-like in that, because he comes home from a 12-hour day and I'm just mad for no reason, just because I'm uncomfortable or nothing tastes good.
Oh.
And it's like not his fault. And so like it's been really interesting to see how like even just praying and like really focusing my studies has really helped me to get more of a handle on that, and is able to like even change my attitudes, to be able to have the Spirit with me more. And I think that's something that we can find all of our situations. Just if we have the Spirit with us, then we won't be as frazzled, because we'll be able to be guided through it.
Is this your first child?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Yay.
Thank you.
Okay, I just got a message that popped up that said it's going to end the meeting in 10 minutes. I put on there 2 hours, but I don't have a paid subscription, so it stops after 40 minutes.
Okay.
Just so you all know, at 12:37, it's probably going to shut off.
Okay.
Okay.
I found that article just so you can go back. Our Sacred Duty to Honor Women by Nelson.
Sacred Duty.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Who else has? Are we going to have to rush through it? Who's next? Sorry.
Well, you guys have already done 2 of the questions that I had chosen, so.
Yeah, me too.
So, what numbers do you have left, AJ?
I think it was just number 7. How can we forgive others when we don't understand their trials? That was my last one.
I think we can try to remember that it's a commandment to forgive others. And probably we can just try and think that, okay, perhaps they're not really having a good day, so probably that's why they did certain things. But also, perhaps you could try to talk to the person. You could probably find out what's going on, because probably the person is angry, not necessarily at you, but it just happens that they throw it on you, because you're the person who's there right now. Perhaps something else happened, and you could probably just talk to them. Sometimes people just want someone to listen to them. They just want to listen in ear. You need to show them some kindness.
Yeah, I think we can try to understand. Sometimes we're not going to understand them, but it's important to love them anyway. I liked what Marcia, what was her name? Marcia Barlow said. She said they truly think they're doing what is best too. So sometimes we might not see eye to eye, but it's important just to love them anyway. And you don't have to see eye to eye on everything, just as long as you try to understand them and don't judge them, don't get upset at them for their beliefs.
Yeah, I like that, because I think as well, like even us as members, we all have different opinions on different things. So even in that way, we have experiences where we have to accept other people's opinions. It may not be just a belief, but an opinion on a certain thing. And just because they don't have the same opinion doesn't mean that we don't love them any less. We're just focusing on like the things that we do have in common, and like you said, just to love them, because that's a commandment, you know, to love our neighbor.
Okay. And the other one, I just have one left on mine that's nobody's touched on. Number 8. How do we overcome the instinctive nature of natural man to turn inward and be selfish when we are suffering, and instead be like the Savior and reach outward to others who may be suffering?
I think Elder Bednar gave a good example in his video when he said when the Savior was in Gethsemane, even though his disciples did not stay up and watch for them, and then the soldiers came and wanted to take him away, and I think it was Paul got angry and cut off one of them ears, and the Savior showed compassion to that person too. But Elder Bednar said even though Christ at that time was facing the hardest thing he would ever have to do, you know, his death for us, he still had compassion for others. So I think we should try and just remember that even though we're going through trials and struggles, we can help others, because a lot of times when we focus on other people and try and help them, it takes our mind off what we're going through. And then sometimes we realize that what we're going through is not as hard as what the other person's experiencing. You know, it's sort of helpful to put things in perspective and be grateful for what you have.
And I think it can be hard to some people just to jump into it, to, you know, be serving others. But I think to start off, just doing small acts of service. Even if we see someone at church who looks lonely, just go and say hi to them. Just lend a loving ear to someone. And the more we do those things, and the more we are trying and praying for experiences and for guidance through that, then we'll be more accustomed to looking for ways to serve people, and it'll become more of our nature. We'll become more service oriented because we're looking for ways to do it. I think that's sometimes where we feel like it's a big thing to, you know, serve others and look outwardly rather than inwardly, is we just need to take it step by step, and then it will build, and then, you know, we can do it more effectively and more often.
Okay. All right. We have about 3 minutes left.
Time for a summary.
So who had the summary?
That's me. I'm taking my notes. Okay. So the first thing we were speaking about was to judge righteously rather than being self-righteous, and showing compassion through that to other people, and ensuring we have the Spirit with us to guide us through that. If we have the Spirit with us, then we'll be more effective in that judgment. Being open and willing to love other people through their trials, and their threats, to focus on was moral safety, the fear of judgment, and the fear of not doing anything, and how to overcome those. Just being wary of miscommunication about beliefs, and being able to be effective in communicating those to other people. Staying calm when in conversations with other people about our beliefs, and having the Spirit with us through those to avoid the confrontation of that, and being able to share our testimony through those experiences to keep the Spirit with us. Finding common ground to build on, to build those relationships when we're struggling with other people. Ways we can improve poverty is to give our fast offerings, pay our tithing, and to give what we can to other people who may be in need. For music, to choose the way we live and to be an example through how we are living. Pornography being an influence to others, and to educate ourselves on how to be a resource and give them resources. Remember that loving and forgetting others is a commandment given from our Heavenly Father that is required of us. It may be hard, but we can do it with, I can't think of through work and dedication through that. And just to look for ways to serve other people.
Wonderful.
Yay! And I forgot to share what I'm doing mine on, but mine's a little bit different. It's moral injury. I work with veterans, and the definition of that is pertaining, failing to prevent, bearing witness to, or learning about acts that transgress deeply held moral beliefs and expectations. So pretty much it's anything that you can witness or do, you can't forgive yourself, and it's shame or guilt based. It's very closely related to PTSD in veterans. And we deal with it a lot in veterans, so that's why I wanted to kind of use it in this class to see if I can find a deeper answer or a better way to teach it and bring awareness to the subject. And I kept finding it